friend, and welcome to the Miss USA 2022 preliminary recap. My name is Dani Walker. I'm a former Miss Montana USA, and I greatly appreciate you joining me for today's episode. If you like content like this, please consider subscribing, supporting the channel by hitting that super thanks button, sharing it with a friend, and of course, don't forget to hit that notifications bell so you know when new episodes come out. And if you're a pageant contestant, check out my free pageant prep course that's linked in the description below to help you prepare for your next competition. I'm gonna get this out of the way. I do not have a clear winner after watching prelims. Not at all. I might be more confused now. First, let's talk about intros. I was so happy to see them in something that was a little bit more glitz and glam, as we might say. I much preferred these little bodysuits in comparison to the plain black bodysuits that were used last year for introductions with those closed-toe pointed heels. This made me a lot happier. Second thing I want to mention about the introductions is that for me, there were no surprises here. I think it's always interesting to watch contestants come out in intros because sometimes you have, like your initial favorites, the contestants that you are watching for. Speaking of those contestants, hold on. Pause this episode. You might want to go check out my pre-arrival favorite episode so you can compare it to this one. So if you want to go check it out, I'm linking it right here. I will wait. Okay, you're still here? Let's keep going. There were no surprises for me for introductions. I didn't see any contestants that looked very different from their images, for example. There weren't contestants that I had in my initial favorites that I saw during introduction and thought, oh no, why did she do her hair like that? Or why does her makeup look like that? Or anything like that. So what I really appreciated is that many of them looked like their images or looked like their videos that we've seen leading up to the competition. So well done, ladies, having a consistent look. For anybody at home wondering why the contestants were not in alphabetical order, let me quickly explain. They started this last year. Now the contestants are able to sell ad pages for the program book. This is quite common for pageants in the United States, although not very common at the Miss USA level. In other pageant systems, like what I consider to be youth pageant systems, they do have ad sales competitions. Last year, Crystal Stewart added this in, so she created incentives for the contestants to sell advertisements. One such incentive is if you sell a certain amount, I don't know how much you have to sell, but if you sell it, then you get to choose your spot in line, which is why the contestants are not in alphabetical order. Another perk is getting your own suite, so you don't have to room with any other contestant at Miss USA, which for me isn't really a perk. I thought it was really fun rooming with Michigan. I had a great time. It was a part of the experience. This year, Arizona won that honor. Last couple things about intros. I still remember the excitement of that moment, so I always get really, really happy watching intros for the contestants. Second, I really much prefer these outfits to the year that I competed. One of my friends lovingly calls my year the bridesmaid year of intro dresses, and I have to agree with her. I do feel like we looked like we were in versions of bridesmaids dresses for prelims at least. And then lastly, I do think that the camera angles needed more work, especially going into finals. Things can really be improved. Many of the contestants had their face blocked by the microphone for introductions, and I don't know why that wasn't adjusted during production rehearsals. It should have been. Now I'm ready to talk about my favorites for swimsuit. One thing that I was not a fan of this year for swim is that they only had a pose in the back of the stage, furthest away from the judges, and then they walked down and they just looped around. And the reason that that really bothered me is because the camera angles once again were not there. We were missing a lot of key moments for the contestants, and so I feel like watching the telecast through a screen for me did not give me a great assessment of how the contestants actually performed at the pageant. So that I think really is going to affect the accuracy of my predictions and guesses for this year. Arizona, talked about her in my other episode. Facially, so beautiful. I think she looks stunning, but you're gonna hear this note a lot from me. More posture from the contestants. You know what I think it is? I think it is this. Us on our phones constantly looking down. I think it's very much affected the posture of our contestants, and it's really showing every time we see a side angle. So ladies, that has to be a part of your practice for walking. Washington's opening turn for me was messy. I like things to be very crisp and clean, and I want to see polished transitions, but I will say, as I suspected, she's very facially beautiful. Her hair looked wonderful, and here's the thing I need to remind you of. They competed in swim and gown, and then interview is after. Crystal Stewart's organization right now is very face and body forward. And if you listen to the scripting in the show, that is really what they're emphasizing. Physical fitness, beauty of face, relatability. She's fun, she's likable, she's easygoing. She's gonna record a ton of TikToks during her year. So think about that when it comes to their performances. I really think you need to look at it through that lens. The other thing I wanna say here, and this is not just a note for Washington, is that many of them struggled on the stairs. And if I were there, if I were a choreographer, if I were the director, if I were a part of production, honestly, I might have just scrapped the stairs, because that just affects the overall look of your entire production. It affects how great your contestants look. And I just think that so many of them were not prepared for those stairs. They hadn't practiced that. And I was just like, oh my gosh. So if I was there, I would have brought all the ladies together and just said, ladies, in your downtime before finals, get on some stairs and start practicing that, because it's a vital moment. We were missing a lot of eye contact. A lot of the transitions from that top stage to the bottom just looked very uncoordinated, frankly. And it just did not help the show. It did not help the look of prelims. So I really honestly hope, if I was production, I would say forget the stairs. Get rid of them. We don't actually need them. The finals will look better without them. Illinois, facially stunning. Stunning like last year's Illinois. And like I said, they're very face forward. Knowing that changed my predictions last year. And you can go back and you can watch my other episode where I told everybody, start changing up your predictions, because face and body are going to be the leading factor. And that interview is a small portion. And now that they're not really looking, doesn't seem like they are, for that girl with the story, she's not going to really need to have any of that. She's just going to need to be fun and easygoing, more like during the Trump era. Kansas, I love. I've loved her leading up to the competition. She has the height, she has the body, she has the face, she has all of those basic things. I think that the posture needs work. I think that the left arm needs to be a little bit more relaxed before finals, please. But I think that she has a lot of potential. And like I said, I don't have a clear winner right now. There is quite a bit of time before Miss Universe. And I think that whoever wins is going to need a lot of work before Miss Universe anyways. So taking that into consideration, she's still one of my favorites. And I think she has potential. I expected a stronger performance from Kentucky for semifinals. I was actually kind of surprised by this. I do want to see more posture. I felt that her walk at her state competition for swim was a better performance than here at nationals, but I'm going to get into it a little bit later, why I think she's still going to make semifinals. Louisiana is a contestant I haven't really been watching up to the pageant. I will say though, I think that her swimsuit performance was pretty solid. I just want her to relax the arms, because there were moments where I was like, ooh, we're getting close to those glitz arms there. And we want to be really relaxed and confident on stage. Massachusetts, I am loving her. I think she's so beautiful facially on stage. This is another contestant though where I see that there's potential. I think that if she were to win, that more work has to go into the walk prior to Miss Universe to keep up with countries like the Philippines. Okay, Celeste has an incredible walk. I'm just saying. But with Massachusetts though, I will say that she looks really present. And so that's winning some points for me. Minnesota, former NAM national title holder, lovely, lovely, lovely queen. Once again, more posture here, but she is really, 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 really beautiful on stage and very, very fit. I assume that she's gonna have a great bubbly interview. I haven't talked about her as much leading up to the competition because I have not seen that much from her on social media. She just didn't go to as many appearances, didn't make as many posts. And when I see that, I wonder, do you want this title? And I think that that is a key component to winning Miss USA, is that you really, really want to have it. You don't win by accident. Mississippi for me is fitting the bill of this pageantry reimagined with this beauty forward emphasis. I think that yes, the walk needs a bit more posture. She can add that before finals, but I do think that she is very beautiful on stage, very, very fit and pretty. I don't know much about her, so I can't really speak for her on stage speaking abilities or for her interview skills. So if you know, feel free, share below. Nebraska. Oh my gosh. I talked about her in my other episode. I was very honest that I don't know that much about her, but she was somebody that I was really looking at and paying attention to. And she is stunning. And there was this moment in Swim, just this flash of her eyes. It was a moment. It was a moment. And I loved her. And she just already in my semifinals, but I can easily see her in a top 5. She also kind of reminded me of the actress Famke Janssen. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And anyways, stunning. Just absolutely stunning. And a great performance. New Jersey has really beautiful hair, beautiful eyes on stage, and she looked really present, and that's what I liked about her, and I'm really hoping she's at least gonna make semifinals. North Carolina was having so much fun on stage, and I love that about her. I think that she is so beautiful, so fresh. She kind of reminds me of North Dakota from last year. She has a really beautiful, fresh, young look. She's just vibrant. I love her. She's one of my favorites, easily in my semifinals, could definitely make it into a top 5 in my opinion, especially if I were judging. Ohio, I like her opening pivot. She had a great use of facials here. She really was one of the few that exceeded my expectations. I love Ohio. Tennessee was so pretty and relaxed. I like that about her, but she was almost giving me Miss America vibes. I don't know if you felt that too. Let me know though in the comments. It could be just me, but if it's not, then what is it that's giving me Miss America vibes? I can't quite put my finger on it. Texas, one of the most talked about queens, huge fan favorite. I think that the opening turn and pivot was a little bit messy, and then she added in an extra one right before walking down the stairs that I just didn't feel like it enhanced the performance. But I will say I still think that she was one of the top performers of the night, and that she looked great for a swimsuit. Her hair was beautiful, bouncing, flowing, so pretty. Vermont to me is a bit of a pageanty walk, and that does concern me, but I feel like they might overlook it because she's so facially beautiful. I really want her to stand up taller and really lift the head, not let the head go so forward and so down, because it's almost like it's weighing down all of her posture. I gotta say, I was really impressed by West Virginia. It's rare that I talk about a West Virginia. I can't remember the last time that I did, but she changed up her facials on stage, and I just have to recognize a job well done. I always forget, I'm also on Instagram and TikTok, so if you want to see some other clips there and more of the behind the scenes and my life outside of YouTube and pageantry, then please give me a follow at Dani Walker. Moving right along to evening gown. Arizona wore a white, fully stoned and liquid beaded Sherry Hill gown. And we've seen very similar variations of this gown many times before. But I will say the gown still looked beautiful on her, and really that is all that should matter. I think that she had a pretty solid performance, and I really hope that she does not get overlooked, because I think that she's beautiful, and I've mentioned it before. I think she's done a great job with her reign, with her social media. She's really working for it, and I like her. I like her a lot. Washington looks like she wore a gown from the same designer that designed her state evening gown. That is my guess. It seemed pretty similar. I'm glad that she wore the simple hairstyle, but I still feel like this gown was a lot. There was just a lot going on with it. It was a bit distracting for me. I wanted to focus more on her, but I was really focused on the gown for a while. And my other critique is it's an overall critique for everybody actually. And that is just that you need to choose poses, turns, pivots, facials, all of those things to complement what you are wearing. And overall for evening gown for this competition, I really feel like many of the contestants did not choose the right poses or turns for their wardrobe, and it didn't make sense. The poses and turns should be determined by what you're wearing. And when you do it that way, they will then enhance your performance. But a lot of contestants were doing things that really didn't make sense for what they were wearing. And so ladies, that is a really big note that I have for you. When I work with contestants, a lot of girls ask, what am I gonna do in my routine? My first question is, what are you wearing? What you're wearing is going to determine, for the most part, what you will be doing in your routine. Either way though, Washington, still stunning. Illinois' gown was quite typical for pageants, fully rhinestone. I feel like Elle's gown last year was quite inspirational for many of the gowns that we were seeing this year, just that silver stoned out look, but she was beautiful. I like the cutout on the side. I will say though that I think that her hair got oversprayed for a gown, and it was so sprayed you can kind of see the hairspray almost sitting on the hair, and it dulled the shine of her hair. So for finals, I would say just a little less hairspray. She really didn't need it, but she really kind of gives me international vibes. She can give me some Miss Universe vibes for sure. She's just so facially beautiful. I would probably actually do even less makeup on her. I don't think she needs it. Kansas was one of my contestants that struggled with the stairs. The gown though was gorgeous on her. Here's another gown that I think very Elle inspired, just that silver rhinestone look. She's gorgeous too, and her eyes, she was really reminding me of Carmen Electra. That's the vibe I get from her. Kentucky's gown is daring. She is giving me fashion. It doesn't surprise me though, because Henry's Cloud 9 typically dresses Miss Kentucky USA, and this seems like a gown that they would dress a contestant in. Some of their gowns are quite daring, and I just think that this gown really, honestly, I think a lot of people are gonna love it or hate it, but I feel like it saved her. Like, I liked her in swim. Like I said, I liked her more at her state competition, but this gown for me, I was like, okay, I like this. I like that we're daring. And it just worked, it made sense with the hair. And the other thing is that she really reminds me, kind of gives me like a little bit vibes of Lupita Jones when she won Miss Universe. Hair back. Did anybody else get that? Louisiana, here she is again. Look at her again. She's gotta be in the semifinals at least, okay? This gown was great on her. The pivot turn for me could have been smoothed out, and this is another example of a pose I would have changed. I just think there were better ending poses for that gown specifically. Massachusetts really surprised me over here. She was different from everybody else with her gown styling. Yes, it was a classic white gown, but she went for a fabric that was almost like a lace, and then she did a pearl earring instead of rhinestones. So you know what? I like that she was bringing something different. She looked beautiful in it. She looked confident. I love her. Minnesota, she really shined for me in gown, quite frankly. I could see her in a top 5. I really can. I think that she looked so beautiful here, and they were really getting a great image, great close-up of her face. Do you guys notice that during the Crystal Stewart era? These ultra up-close shots of the contestants? Yeah, I think that is quite on purpose. Mississippi is somebody that I can see going into the semifinals. I will say though, another example, I would change the pose in that evening gown. I just think there's something else we could do with it. Nebraska, I have to mention, because I have seen this gown many times at state competitions. I've never loved this gown at state competitions. I don't think this gown helped her tonight. And also she went off and did her own thing. Her and then I can't remember the other contestant right now. They didn't walk forward and do the pose. She just walked in the circle. I think that was a missed moment right there. So this gown performance does worry me. I wonder if they're gonna overlook it. And I really hope she has a second gown option. But I still love her. I still love her. I'm torn. New Jersey's performance for me here was a bit middle of the road. I'm gonna be honest, okay? I think that there should be some more practice with the stairs, just in case she has to do stairs again. The gown looked beautiful on her, and I just wanted her to glide more and just to relax, live in the moment, enjoy it. It's your night. North Carolina wore her state gown, and this right here is a great example of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I am so glad that she did this. Granted, I don't know what her other gown options were. I don't know if from the start she just said, I'm definitely wearing the same gown to nationals. Who knows the story of the gown? But I will say that it looked beautiful. It was unique. It fit her so well. This gown is by Gasper Cruz, and he's a very talented evening gown designer, typically makes custom earrings as well for his clients. I love a lot of his work, and I just thought that this was so beautiful for her. It was unique. It was fun. I was happy to see it, and this is just a great example of a time that it makes sense to wear your same gown. Sometimes you don't need a different one. I have to say, Ohio was giving me Miss Universe confidence. She was. She wore a simple gown It was flowing. Oh, I loved just watching it go down the stairs. That was just, oh, it literally gives me chills. She was beautiful. She changed up her facial expressions. Please, judges, do not overlook her because she wasn't covered in rhinestones. I wouldn't care one single bit. She would be advancing for me. Rhinestones or not, she shined. Rhode Island surprised me. I did not really notice her as much for swim. When I saw her come out in gown, I will be honest, not my favorite gown. I did not feel that it was incredibly unique or something that we haven't seen before, and I really didn't feel like it was a new take on something that we've seen before. It reminded me of something that would have been worn in 2019 when everybody had to wear Sherry Hill, and it was sort of like, well, this is better than other options that I had. That's kind of what I was getting the vibe of, but I will say this. She looked like she was loving that gown, and she looked like she was feeling herself in it. The color looked beautiful on her, the fit was beautiful, and this would be a time where personally I would say I would have put her in a different gown, but she looked like she was loving it, and she looked confident, and she had a great performance to go with it. So I personally would have scored her very well for this. Tennessee's gown, I will say, it was giving me a bit of 90s prom vibes because of the type of beading that was used, very common in the 90s, and then also the cut of the dress, and then it was chopped short and it wasn't long. So I was getting like 90s prom vibes, and I feel like it's a good event dress, but I personally wouldn't have suggested it for Miss USA. But I will say, I felt like the performance was there. She looked beautiful. So here's another time where I would, as a judge, I would really be overlooking it because I, up until this point at least, definitely didn't have a huge favorite performance here, or a performance where my jaw dropped, or I just thought, oh my gosh, that's our winner. Like that hadn't happened for me yet, so I would take that into consideration and give her a good score. I don't have a favorite gown performance, but if I were the next contestant, might just get that award, and that was Texas. I gotta give it to her. I loved this performance way more than her swimsuit performance. The gown on her, beautiful, clearly custom. I just wanna know, did she make it? I don't know. The hair with this was perfect. I realized I much prefer her with her hair back. For me, that is the look for her. I love it. It just does something for her face. But just the collar, the neckline. This and this performance is more of what I expected for everyone, for the entire competition. I thought that everybody was gonna give me these types of moments, or not everybody, but that more contestants would. So well done, Texas. Vermont, very simple gown and simple styling, but she looked beautiful. She looked beautiful. I still want her to hold her head up higher and have more posture, but in this organization, I think that face is really gonna count, and I think that that's what they're mainly gonna be considering. Well, friend, I have to say, Miss USA 2022 prelims really surprised me. I don't know if they surprised you, but like I said, I don't have an overall favorite, and I don't have the feeling that I did last year when I saw Elle compete. Elle gave me the feeling, and I was like, it's Kentucky. I literally told her father that before she won. You could see me sitting with him and watching finals last year. I leaned over to him before and I was like, I think your daughter is gonna win tonight, when he told me who she was. And yeah, I don't know what to say, friends. Why are you awake? I don't know why the birds are awake. Anyways, thank you for watching this Hey, can you please be quiet? Anyways, those are my thoughts. Please keep up with the rest of my Miss USA and Miss Universe coverage. I really hope that you'll enjoy the recent episodes and the upcoming episodes. Thanks for joining me for this one, and I hope to see you next time.